Welcome, everyone. I'm happy to see that you made it. So, I will start with sharing my screen. So, this is the second webinar on how to understand ourselves, learn how our energy works through human design. Last time we talked about mind, communication, energy, and stress. This time we will start with a small intro on human design. Then we'll go through emotions, well being, power, and sense of direction. Okay, so everyone has their chart. Who am I? I'm Greta Berlin Kaljomäe. I've been an employee in a marketing agency, a freelancer. I've been a founder of two startups and a leader in nonprofit and profit organizations. But now, today, I do coaching and training for leadership and teams to create healthier workplaces. And I use practical tools for self-awareness, which are human design and inner development goals, so that people and teams can be more effective. Because I believe that self-awareness is a very important part of leadership. So, human design. I know that some of us already have heard about human design. This is a tool for introspection. It gives us some information about ourselves based on the moment we are born to help us dig deeper to understand ourselves better. It's not meant to be like, this is how you are, to label people. It's meant to be used as information to test, to see if it's actually true, to see if our past experiences make sense with this information, and to use it as something that makes us grow, that helps us find our way to be more efficient. And just to take a small moment to go a bit deeper to seeing how unique a design is, that we see numbers on left and right, right? That one number, depending on how accurate your birth date is, can be actually very, very specific way of functioning. So there are like subcategories of a characteristic because the numbers on left and right are the macro characteristics of a person. And that macro characteristic has subcategories that goes into very deep. So your specific one great way of functioning is like one over here somewhere or over there. It depends on the moment you are born. But to use this tool, it's not necessary to go in so much detail. It's just to show that a design can go in like, oops, okay. The design can be like 1 out of 1,800,000 possibilities. So instead of having a personality test, this can go much more in detail on how unique a person is, starting with emotions. So I would like you to evaluate from 1 to 5. How satisfied are you with your emotional management? And what I mean by that is, are you able to observe your emotions without reacting? To manage and metabolize them in a healthy way? Are you able to speak your truth even if it provokes reactions in others? Here, the theme is needs, feelings, passions, desires. It's the social awareness. So in human design, there are 3 different awareness centers. There's mental awareness, so what we consider as the master awareness, people who are super intelligent, we mean that they are mentally intelligent usually. But they can also be socially very intelligent or physically very intelligent. So there are different intelligences out there. This is the social intelligence, social awareness. And if the mind can make us anxious, the emotions can make us nervous. If this is colored in your design, there is this rich emotional depth with highs and lows that bring passion and excitement. The emotions in human design are all related to spirituality, romance, revolution, poetry, music, art. They can be the gods of marketing, basically, because talking to people's emotions is the core of storytelling, right? It's the core of selling something to someone. When we are very disconnected from it, and that applies to everyone, when we are disconnected from our emotions, we tend to avoid truth, telling our truth, to avoid confrontation, to have emotional impact from the others or reactions. People who have this colored in, who are approximately half of population, impact the world around them. They color their environment with their emotions. And they also gain information with their emotions. It's like a filter they have with the world. So they feel the people, they feel the world, they feel their environment. Everything can create some kind of emotion in them with which they metabolize the people, the environment, everything they have around them. This is why they also need time. They really can't allow themselves to be spontaneous because they need more time to metabolize. If a person is a good person for a collaboration, if I don't know, a new work environment is good for them, they just need time and touch points, at least 3 touch points with a person, with the situation, with the project, whatever they're doing. They need at least 3 touch points to really get clear, to feel like, okay, yeah, this is a good decision. Because the emotions are a bit of a wave like motion, and we will go in there just in a bit. But there's like this highs and there are the lows. So when we are on our high emotional level, we see everything is awesome. There are pink lenses, world is beautiful. And every project is so cool. Let's go on, let's do everything. But when we are at our lows, it's the opposite. Like, it's just not working. We see the negative aspect in the things. So in the high wave, we see the positive aspect. In the low wave, we see the negative aspect. That's why we need to go and surf the waves to actually see the whole picture and then make an informed decision. While this is how it works for people who have this colored in their design, what happens when this is white? Right. Right, that the 50-50, approximately half of the people have this colored and half don't. So it's like one person does and another doesn't, right, in the world with it. And the others are very sensitive to the emotions because they're so open, right? They're hearing. Their body is hearing the emotions of others. This means that when they're alone, there is a certain emotional coolness in them, but also with people, you can kind of feel a coolness in them. But at the same time, they're kind of absorbing the emotions from others, whether they want it or not. So they can be very sensitive to the needs, passion, mood, desire, everything around an emotional sphere. So they are kind of a parameters to see who is emotionally healthy, who's making progress, who can be very intoxicating emotionally. And they are usually the people who the people who feel a bit toxic emotionally, they're the ones who usually don't work with their emotions. So they tend to, I don't know, keep them down somehow or just don't metabolize them. And usually it's most of the people, unfortunately. But it also depends on the environment you're in, right? So for them, it's important to really learn to create their space in the sense of when they're in a meeting or somewhere, when there's lots of anger or lots of negative, heavy emotions, it's very important for them to first understand where is it coming from, to not personalize with these emotions. So to say, okay, this person is angry. All the parts that are white in our design, are the empathic part. There are different ways of being empathic. This is a very strong emotional empathy. So really understanding whose feelings are these. And then when it's too much, if you really feel like it's too much, just find a way, I don't know, go to the bathroom, find a way to get out of the room to actually let it go. Because there is no consistent way of metabolizing emotions there. So it can be very heavy as you kind of take it in and feel all that what's going on in the room. There are three types of ways that human design teaches us about. So half of people experience this on their own skin, half are impacted by them. So it's important to know anyhow. There is a relational way. This one is very sensitive to the needs of people, to the needs of themselves also. So every time that something happens, maybe it's small, that's just not fit there, it kind of creates this small explosion. Maybe a person, I don't know, didn't send that email that needed to go out yesterday, or the project isn't ready yet, but the deadline was there, and it's, there's this small explosion that then you kind of put down. And there's that, like this chopper chop situation where a drop that finally is like the last drop in the honey pot. It's just everything explodes. Like the person does this last thing that really you didn't like, and there's like, and everything goes down. Like you start listing all the things that don't work. Maybe they just didn't close the door or something, and then just like the explosion happens from your part because that was like the last step. So these people have a way that's more physical. The words aren't so necessary with them, but to calm their nervous system down, it's important to have physical touch for them. So it can be a hand on their shoulder or something that just helps them calm their nervous system down. Then there is another type of weight that is more of artistic, melancholic type of weight where they're like all the emotions of the rainbow, basically. You can understand who has this type of wave by their verbal or physical expression of moodiness, if we could say like this. There's lots of passion out there. So they're more of poet types, usually. And they really need to interact with others when they are in the mood of doing that. Because otherwise, just things don't go well with interactions. So they really need to be in the mood of being social or just be in their own environment. Also, they need to have their own creative downtime. So when the wave is down, so when everything is not joyful, but it's more like despair and melancholy, this is the space for creativity. Really having your alone time and to explore whatever you love to do. Melancholy sometimes can also disappear, by the way, by just moving to a new space. That's a tip for these people. If you feel like this is what's happening within, or you know someone that really resonates with this description, it can help when they just move to another space. I don't know, go to the nature, go outside the house, whatever it is. And then there is this another type of way. There's this hope, and the person just goes towards it, and it just grows the way it grows until there is the goal that is met or the expectation that is not met, and then it just crashes down. And then there's this down moment that's just flat. And then there's this next one. Oh, okay. I hope this one goes out now, right? And then this kind of a crash, hope, and pain wave that is based on expectations morally. So it's important. Maybe it's more important for them to actually start something, whether it's a project, whether it's whatever it is, for the experience itself, not for the outcome, because that can really help navigate this kind of situational, the waves in a calmer way. Because when the hopes are like super high, expectations are super high, and they're not met, then the downtime will be just longer. So it's better to enter into experiences just for the experience itself. And it's not a good idea to make decisions when we are in our field, because they're just not good decisions, because we don't make them with clarity. Emotions usually tend to obscure the clarity behind it. So we can't see the bigger picture so clearly, and just the decisions tend not to be so good. So when we're in the field, no decision making. Art, yes. Everything that's creative, yeah, awesome. Decisions, maybe another time, Let's have some more time where we are influenced by others' emotions. Better make our own decisions when we are by ourselves, in our own element. On the other side of our chart, there is the well-being center. Let's rate from 1 to 5. How satisfied are you with how you manage your well-being? What I mean by that is, do you take care of your physical health? How satisfied are you with that? Do you trust your instinct around what's good for you, what's not good for you? How good are you at overcoming fears that don't serve you? Letting go of relationships, habits, projects, situations that are not healthy anymore, have become toxic. So this one here is all about instinct, being spontaneous, intuition. It's the body's intelligence. It speaks with fears for our survival. So this is the center that we know for sure that we have in common with all the other species. They all have survival instinct, and this is our survival instinct. When we are disconnected from it, it looks like holding on to unhealthy things. That can be, we started something and it's really like objectively, it's not healthy for us. But we just keep on doing it because we say, it will go better. It will go better. And that's also true for relationships, for example. We know a friend and we know that it's not healthy for us, but they're a good person at the end, So we tend to hold on to unhealthy things when we're disconnected from it. There is also an aspect of being rigid and inflexible. So we are like afraid to have new ideas coming up or to change our way of doing because of the fear of, okay, this is working right now, but I'm afraid that if I turn here, it's not working anymore. So there is this element of also inflexibility and rigid behavior when we're disconnected from our instinct, survival instinct. So if this is colored in your design, there is a reliable immune system there. This in the moment awareness that you're just, if you listen to your body, you like have this small whisper, almost like a whisper behind your head that tells you what's healthy, what's not healthy. They're the people who usually say that, I knew this was going to happen because there was this whisper that said this is going to happen. And they just didn't listen to it. This center here is linked, is literally how our immune system functions according to human design. So if this is colored, there's this reliable immune system. They usually don't get sick so often, but when they do, they get like very like more sick than others. So maybe they don't get a flu for years, and then when they get it, it's like in bed, very heavy. It's the same immune system that tells us what's healthy, what's not healthy. So a person comes up and you feel like, okay, that person is not healthy for me because the immune system tells it, not the mind. It's also important to actually listen to ourselves to understand where the information is coming from. Are we trying to metabolize it with our mind? Like, can we see that we're thinking of the whys? Or can we just instinctively feel and know that this person is not good, even if we have no clue around why? These people usually have this sense of security in them. And I like to compare them with cats. So when we see a cat that's like super relaxed, sleeping, they always know what's going around their environment because a sound comes from somewhere. Even if they're sleeping, you can kind of see the twitch of the ear, so that they know what's going on. Their immune system, their body's awareness is 24/7 on. It just turns switched on, and their body knows what's going around. What's happening, right? It's important for them to not take their health for granted because it's very easy to say, okay, yeah, I'm doing, I don't get sick so often maybe. And they tend to take it for granted. And so when it comes, it's just too heavy, it's just too much. So it's important to sleep, drink water, everything that we need to do to keep our body healthy. It's important for them to take that extra step to really take care of their body. But what happens if this is white? So if this is open, when we are sensitive, if our body awareness is sensitive, what does that look like? The immune system in this case works more like a sponge. So there is this inconsistent physical well-being and sensitivity to others' well-being. So when they are in an environment with lots of sick people, for example, it's flu season. So when they are in the room with lots of people who have a flu, they can basically, it's like written there, you will have a flu. Because the more time they spend in that room, the more probabilities there are that a week after, 3 days after, they will have a flu. But at the same time, they also, their immune system learns a lot from the well-being of others. So there's lots of wisdom. They have lots of wisdom since they grow up, basically, because, you kind of have it your whole life. So you kind of learn something about what works for their own body. So they have this wisdom, and usually they prefer more natural medicine before going to antibiotics, for example. They usually naturally tend to have a naturalistic point of view on how to take care of themselves. So there is no need to tell them, you need to take more care of yourself, because they actually naturally tend to do that. When they're together with people who have this strong immune system, who have this colored in, the colored in people feel like they're safe, like they're feel good people. So they make them feel very safe. In fact, that's one of the aspects they impact their environment with, right? Everything that's colored in speaks to others, talks about ourselves, and what it tells the others is that I'm a feel good person. I'm a safe person. So it makes others feel safe in their presence. But are they safe? That's another question. And I'm not telling you that you're not the safe person, but in a sense of sometimes people are healthy for us, sometimes they're not. And that depends on our own level of self-awareness and where are we exactly on our path of growth. Next one is power. From 1 to 5, how satisfied are you with how you manage your power? And let me be a little bit more specific here. So, do you feel worthy of what you do? Job, for example, or what you own? Your home, your knowledge. Do you feel worthy of your relationships? Do you feel worthy of what you do and what you own? Are you good at avoiding overcommitments? Making and keeping promises without frustrations? Can you stand up for your value and worth? So how satisfied are you with how you manage your power? So this is capacity, willpower. When we are disconnected from this, it looks like overcompensating. So taking on projects just to prove that I can do it. Taking on lots to prove I'm a good person. I'm a very good worker. I'm a hard worker, right? So taking on things to do just to prove, not to do it because I love to do it, but to prove that I can. And this makes us take on more than necessary. When it's colored in, there is this natural sense of self-esteem that should never be repressed, because they are not designed to be humble. When they play humble, they put their power to sleep, basically, because they have this natural sense of how material life works. And they really have the power of, I will do this, we will get this done. And, it is a mad ego, not pushing down our ego, but using it in a healthy way to really empower the people around them and to really get things done. Because the willpower, if we don't have any energy left in our body, like no energy, the willpower is the only power that will do the extra last mile. So there are people who can really keep up with the promises because they have that strong willpower, and they actually they understand where their limits are. There's this feeling of, this is where my limit. This is how I'm worth. I will not do a project or a collaboration if the worth is not matching. They usually thrive to make deals, bargains, promises, but it's very important that they are also valued within it. And it's also very important for them to keep promises because they can do it. But if they don't keep it, it's like it backlashes somehow. This is also where some frustration can come from because as I stay in power, they impact, right? Their body speaks, we have the power, I have the power, we can do this. This is what their body tells, basically. We have the capacity. Other people actually feel empowered by it. They feel like, oh, we can do this, we can do that, we can run miles, we can do everything, right? But when the collaborators go back home, they don't feel that anymore. They don't feel like having that power anymore. So it's very hard to keep up with promises for them. The thing is that they empower people to do in their presence. Doesn't mean that at home they have the same power. When this is open, what does that mean? That means that there is sensitivity to capacity and willpower. It also looks like a flexible value system. This means that when we go to, for example, Tony Robbins events, we're like, oh, yes, we will do everything, right? We will open 100 businesses tomorrow. When we go back a week after, we're like, no, there's no way. Because we are sensitive to the other's willpower. We can do a lot in the presence of others. So in fact, when we need to, for example, if we are freelancing or working at home, it could be a good idea to find a co-working. Just to be around people so that you can use their type of energy to get things done. It's not a good idea to make promises because they naturally go towards overcompensating. So when we do something, when someone says, I don't know, can we find 20 new clients by the end of the week? And you're like, yeah, I will do this. Because you want to prove that you're a hard worker or you're very good at it. It kind of brings towards frustration because you really push towards there. You push it, but eventually it can also bring cardiovascular problems. So it's better to let the keeping of the promises and making of the promises also for the clients and everything, listen to the people who really have that sense of their color, then who have that willpower, who have that capacity, because they actually can empower people to make this happen, or they can do it themselves. But if we are sensitive to it, we really can't promise that we can keep the promise because it depends. It depends on the people I'm with. It depends on the environment I am in. So we really don't have the luxury to keep up with it. On the other side, there is lots of wisdom around the well-being, the power, who can do what, who has the capacity, how valuable things actually are. What's the real value of this service? What's the real value of this product? There is lots of wisdom around value. And as they learn the value systems of others, because they're sensitive, right? If we are open, we hear, our body hears the value system, the capacity of others, and learns from it. So we meet a person and we love the way value system works. We upgrade our own. So our own value system changes. For example, if we sit right next to a person in a train, who has a very low value system, it kind of, we absorb it in. So you go out of that train and you think like, I'm not worth anything. Because there's like this sensitivity towards others' value system. So also there, it's important to learn to let go. Because they can see, okay, you feel like you're not worth anything. How come, right? It can start to be tool of strength, that wisdom, that empathy of the value system of others, the capacity of others can be a tool to understand, to upgrade it. And then we are here in our sense of direction, the last one. So from 1 to 5, how satisfied are you with how you manage your direction or presence? And also this can sound a bit abstract. Are you satisfied of how you keep the direction of your action? Does it feel right? Are you able to avoid doing the job of others? So keeping your own action instead of doing the others? Are you confident at yourself? How good are you at that, in adapting your presence according to the situational leadership, for example, in care of your public image? So this is, it does this, the people who have this colored, like have their own train track. And they're the train. So there is the feeling of, I have a direction. Maybe I don't know where I'm going, where it's leading me, but I feel like there's a direction and I'm on the direction. Or they can be totally lost if they kind of follow the direction of parents or friends or whatever. They can be totally feeling like, okay, I should have a direction, but I'm completely lost. Because it's very important for them to follow their direction. Follow that of direction. Okay, so when we are disconnected from it, so everyone who is disconnected from this sense of identity, this sense of presence, direction, there can be confusion of roles. So, for example, I'm a leader. Okay, I have a team. This person does marketing. This person does, maybe it's a small business or something. There are people who do different things, but I tend to do everything also. If someone doesn't do something like I think it would be right, I do that also. Maybe, I go out from my box. So there's this confusion of, okay, what should I actually do? Am I a leader who needs to guide these people to do their best? Or am I also marketer? Because we already have marketer. So it's important to kind of find this connection with our sense of direction and where we are, what's our identity in that moment, to avoid this confusion of roles. There can also be this endless search of self or endless search of direction. Like I already feel like I'm on the right path, but I'm still looking for something. Or I know who I am, but maybe I can still learn more. Make me still search for more. This can also bite love, actually. Maybe I already have my relationship. I'm searching. Maybe there's something else. So when we are disconnected from it, it's like endless search or confusion of role. So I already said a little bit of what happens when this is colored. So there is this strong inner sense of my own direction, right? They're the people who usually have this feeling of magnetic polarity. They like just draw, they're naturally attractive as a personality type. Because they have this specific sense of self, of being, you ask them, who are you? They're like, I'm me. Maybe they don't know to list the characteristics, but like, I'm me. I know who I am. Like there is this sense of self and this way of knowing where and how to progress. So when you tell them, I don't know, we should buy a new car, but old one is just too old, starting to have problems, we should buy a new car. They go like, yeah, it's a good idea, but it's not a right moment right now because they feel like they're on the track, but that's not the right time, right? It will come, but not right now because there's this sense of when it will, it will when it has to. At the same time, they're very good also at giving direction to others, to maybe mentoring, right? Use stones and ask, okay, what's the right direction for me to do this? How to, I don't know, grow, do whatever they need to do. There is this sense of, okay, you could go there. So giving direction to people. This usually looks like caring. But on the flip side, it can be very difficult for them to change their own direction. So if they meet a person who have also, if there are more people who work together who have this sense of direction, but at some point it just doesn't go in the same direction. At some point they just need to let go of the relationship because it won't work. So sometimes it's hard, but people need to take separate ways to go to their direction. The people who have this white are very sensitive to other people, to the environment, to the location. They're like very sensitive to the direction because who has this colored speak their direction out, right? They just impact others with the direction. But if this is open, we listen to the direction, right? We take it in as a sponge. So they're very good people readers. Super adaptive. They're very sensitive to the environment and location because literally if they're in the wrong place, in the wrong room, the people who are in there are also wrong people. They're just not doing good for your system in that moment. And this is very important to understand. For example, if we have a team who works in one place and we need to move to another city, what happens to the people who have this sensitivity there? Do they feel like theirs? Will they work well there? Because if they don't feel like the environment, the room they're in, their room is good for them, make them feel good, then the work they do in there doesn't have the same quality. So it's very important to actually go and visit the new office with the sensitive people to actually see their face. What face are they doing? Like, do they feel like it's their environment or not? Or maybe, I don't know, if we have kids, for example, who have this sensitivity, also there, do they find the right friends? The goals, literally, what goals to achieve depend on the people they're with, on the location they're in. So it's so important. And the way they find their way, because they don't have that feeling of train and track, right? The way they find their way is by testing different ways. So they go on one train, right? Then they go there, they see how it looks like, they feel in there. Then they go on another train and see how it feels there. So they need to test the different directions until they feel that this is the right one. Also, for finding clients and things, they need to really test the waters and find different ways, also asking from the people who have this sense of direction, where would they go? So yeah, they can be very wise about people, about environments, and how all this works together. There will be 3 series. So this is the second one. The third one will be next Saturday, 5th of April. same time, I hope to see you there. Meanwhile, we can stay in touch.